And welcome again to another Big Zoo Media Special Edition, and we're joined once again by Dell Rapids Superintendent Dr. Schultz, and always a joy to have you on. And as we get ready for the upcoming school year, the big thing that we want to talk about is the return to safe learning that just came out, the proposal that you have. So let's talk about that a little bit. It looks way different from last year, so I'm going to open it up to you and kind of explain the differences from last school year to the start of this one.
Well, thanks for having me, Matt. Yes, the plan does look different. It even has a different name. So just to keep up with all the requirements and forms the schools have to submit, it is now called Return to Safe Learning, and that will be looked at every board meeting here throughout the school year. As you know, as our kids know, parents know, we were a mask-mandated school last year. We went into the fall just hoping we could make it as long as possible. And so we really layered our mitigation strategies. Some of them, didn't have any historical data behind them and were proven to be a little less helpful than others. And so now with a year of history behind us, we're going into the 21-22 school year just allowing masks to be voluntary. I think that's the big ticket that everybody kind of was waiting for. I know that we learned that the masks, when worn properly, and specific masks are very effective in mitigating the spread of COVID-19. So that, coupled with the availability of a vaccine right now, we really feel that we can put the decision for both of those things into the parents' hands, into our staff members' hands. We didn't have the luxury of knowing those things last year, and there was no availability of a vaccine should someone want it. So we just really think that those social emotional needs of kids, wearing that mask all day is tough. We did it. It worked. I received so much grace from our community, from our parents, from our kids. They all did it. But I think we're in a different landscape right now in our community, in our state. And so we're going to allow parents to decide the best course of action for their kids going into this school year.
Now with that, we know that the Sturgis Rally is coming up here in the next week, just a couple of weeks before the start of school, and a lot of folks coming into the state. And you see in the news the Delta variant is a thing, and some of the box stores I've already seen are starting to do the mask required type thing. So as we move into the school year and things change, I guess the question is this plan could be ever evolving? Is that something that could happen?
Yes, the plan will be looked at, as I said, every month at our reoccurring board meeting. I would like to be able to say with certainty that all the things in the plan, that people care a lot about, will stay static. They won't change. The one thing I certainly would never use mitigation strategies as a recruitment tool, as far as as the popular opinion goes. So I'm going to be very careful in not making promises I can't keep. But again, those priorities of social emotional learning, there are proven strategies for mitigating for those who are worried about coming to school and being compromised, as far as what type of masks are most appropriate, vaccines. So I would like to think we're going to keep most of the main components of this plan in check. However, if we were to see spread in a certain classroom or a certain area or the buses, we might need to look at those specific areas and change our mitigation strategies. You remember last year we had a phase 1, a phase 2, and we looked at thresholds. Well, we don't have those thresholds anymore because we want to be able to target specific areas should we see spread in specific areas, and try not to just kind of upheave the entire plan. One thing I know that people are nervous or wanting to know about is public spectators at basketball games.
That was my next question. That was going to be the next question, because I knew, talking with some of the students and fans last year, like, oh, I got a voucher, but then I went someplace and forgot it, and there was a lot of that. So how might that look different this year?
Yeah, our front row, they had to do a little extra time last year, really making sure they were noisy sometimes. I think that was the reasoning. to make up for the lost crowd. But again, right now we're going in with full capacity for spectator attendance. Our hope is that we can keep that. Now, we follow guidelines and recommendations from the South Dakota High School Athletic Association. And so those could come into play possibly as far as people coming in. So again, I can't make any promises if statewide they're having folks follow and schools are following that. We're gonna need to look at those different tiers when it comes to what our population in Dell Rapids is looking like. The one thing that I struggled with a little bit last year is they had us go by county. And as people know, with Dell Rapids being in Minnehaha County was in substantial spread the whole school year, but we didn't necessarily see substantial spread in Dell Rapids. So I really want us to be able to look at what's going on in the Dell Rapids community before we make those changes, unlike last year.
No, another item that I see on this draft is the lunches. That's kind of been something that's that was paid for last year as part of everything that was going on. It looks like that's going to be the same again for this year.
That is correct. All lunches and breakfast will be free again for those reimbursable lunches and breakfasts all through the school year. So that's just a great benefit for our families who are paying those lunch bills. We are also expecting a full service lunch service this year. We took things out last year, salad bars, things like that. We had the dividers up during lunchtime and eating. We're hoping to not have those things in place. Now, again, if we were to start seeing some issues in certain areas and it's possibly related to lunch or breakfast, that sort of thing, well, then we're going to need to take a look at that. But right now, we have told Lunchtime Solutions that we want as full of back to normal operations as we can. So I think the kids are excited to have some of those things back.
That'll be great. I know my kids love that.
Yeah.
One last thing that I just wanted to touch on this on the document that was posted by the school is the column there about testing, where free COVID testing could be offered. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and we had the Binex Now test last year also. So Sarah Taubert and I here in the district office, we didn't want to burden our nurse anymore, who was already just overstaffed last year with COVID, handling it all by herself along with her normal duties. But we were trained and able to do the COVID testing. Now, that particular test is still available for schools, and we will ask for that again. That works really well when kids, COVID symptoms mimic or mirror a lot of things. And so when kids were having symptoms for a couple days, we were able to have parents say, you know what, why don't you give them that COVID test? Or if they knew that they were a close contact with someone, it was kind of that peace of mind to have the test. So we still are able to give that free of charge to all students. What's different this year is that we are given it's like an over-the-counter type test that I can even send home for parents to administer if they would like to. It needs to be taken twice within 24 hours of each other, which I like. The other thing that's different about that particular test is it's better for asymptomatic folks. And so Binex Now, the proficiency rating on that was a little bit lower, especially when we had close contacts taking it with no symptoms. This other test that we are going to make sure we have on hand this year will be a little bit more effective for those people not showing symptoms but just want it to happen. Again, we don't mandate, it's completely voluntary. Staff and students, parents just kind of took advantage of that at times last year when they felt comfortable, and so we'll provide that again.
All right, well, I know that the school board is going to look at this on Monday. I know it's still in the draft mode, and that's when it would become official. Is there anything else related to this, the Safe Learning Plan, that you want to highlight or that we haven't touched on yet?
I don't think so. Again, I really thank our community for, kind of hanging in there with us last year. I know at times the mitigation strategies seemed, all put on top of each other. They seemed like a lot. And yet, I said it before, but I was given a lot of grace. Our kids did it. Our parents were supportive, which is why our kids adhered to those, and we made it through the year. We're a lot smarter this year. We have to still have strong mitigation practices in the form of hand washing and distancing when we can. And for those with immune compromised systems, we want them to feel comfortable in masks if they choose that sort of thing. But we're just really going to go in and hope that together we can make this year as successful as last year, but keep the masks off kids, and that's really just our goal. So.
All right. Well, again, I thank you for joining us and to talk about this a little bit and get the information out there before the start of school. And again, at any time that we need to sit down and get information out, you're always welcome to join us. We really appreciate it.
That sounds good. Let's hope it's just a boring year and you and I don't have to, we have to work on things to come up with.
That would be great. We're looking forward to that.
Oh, I appreciate your help in getting this information out, Matt.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.